Betty Hill's hypnosis sessions, like her husband Barney's, began as part of the effort to uncover repressed memories related to their alleged UFO abduction experience. After their encounter on the nights of September 19th through 20, 1961, in the White Mountains of New Hampshire, Betty and Barney Hill sought the assistance of Dr. Benjamin Simon, a prominent Boston psychiatrist known for his work in hypnotherapy and the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder. The hypnosis sessions for both Betty and Barney Hill began in early 1964, more than 2 years after their alleged abduction. Dr. Simon conducted separate sessions for each of them to help them recall the details of their experiences aboard the UFO and medical examinations they claimed to have undergone. During these hypnosis sessions, Betty Hill, like her husband, provided detailed accounts of their alleged encounter with extraterrestrial beings. These accounts would later become a central part of the case's documentation and the subject of extensive research and media coverage. Betty Hill's hypnosis sessions, along with Barney's, played a crucial role in shaping the narrative of the UFO abduction story. Betty and Barney Hill both underwent polygraph examinations to assess the credibility of their claims regarding the UFO abduction experience. These polygraph tests were conducted by Captain James A. McDonald, a respected polygraph expert and retired Boston Police Department officer. Betty and Barney Hill both passed their polygraph examinations, which added another layer of support to their account of the UFO abduction. The results of these polygraph tests were seen by some as further evidence of the Hills' sincerity and belief in their experiences. I ask you to listen to this with open minds.
I don't know where we are. I don't even know how we got here. Barney and I, we've been driving, and I don't know how long, and we haven't even been talking. I just been sitting here feeling as something's going to happen. And I'm not really too afraid. Except right now I am. At that time I didn't feel afraid.
Why are you crying if you're not afraid?
I'm afraid now, but I wasn't afraid. I was afraid when I saw the men in the road.
Men in the road?
I've never been so afraid in my life.
Tell me about the men in the road. It's all right now. You're safe here. Tell me about the men in the road.
We're driving along, we're on a side road. And all of a sudden, without any warning or any reason or rhyme or anything, Barney made he almost, the brake, I think he only stopped so suddenly and made this stop. Left-hand turn to the highway, and we went onto this narrow road. I was wondering what he was doing down here, but he wasn't saying anything, and I wasn't. I was thinking, well, maybe we're lost, but so what? We'll come out somewhere. And we're going along, and there was a sharp curve in the road, and as we went around the curve, there were trees. There were a lot of tall trees on my side. I don't know about Bobby's side of the road, but there was these men standing in the highway. And I wasn't too afraid when I saw them. They were standing there. And I thought, well, you know, there was doubtful. There was, I don't know. And they were just, you couldn't get a good look at them. But then I thought, well, you know, are they in a car and the car broken down, or what are they doing there? Then Barney first had to stop, and then he he stopped the car. Then these men started to come up to the car. They separated. They came up in two groups. And when they started to do that, I got real scared. Then the car motor died. The car stalled. Then, and when they started coming up, Bonnie tried to start the car. He tried to start it, and you know how the motor of a car would just turn over, it won't fire? Yep.
You did what?
He tried to stop the car and it won't start. And the medic coming, so I think, well, I can get away from this. If I get the car door open, I can run in the woods and hide. And I'm thinking it, and I just, my hand on the car door and open it. And the men come up, and they open it for me. And they open the car door, and this very big man, this one, next to me, and then two kids behind.
I didn't hear that.
Two men, this car door, and there's 1, 2, 3 men, and then there's 1, 2 more behind them.
Yes.
And one man puts his hand out.
Go on.
I don't know what happened.
You can remember everything now. What do these men look like? Could you see their faces?
No.
How were they dressed?
All right, that was all right.
Were they having on any uniform, or were they in ordinary clothes?
All right, you know.
Uniform. Does it resemble any uniform you know?
I couldn't see. There's a couple of men behind me, and then this body, and there's a man on each side of him. And my eyes are open. My body's still asleep. He's walking and he's asleep. And I begin to get mad. And they go, who the heck are these characters and what do they think they're doing? And so I turn around and I say, Bonnie, wake up. Why don't you wake up? And he doesn't pay any attention. He keeps walking. And I keep going a little bit further, and I turn around and I say his name again, Bonnie, wake up. He doesn't pay any attention. And then the man who's walking beside me here, says, oh, is his name Barney? And I turned around and I looked at this man, and I figured it's none of his business. So I didn't speak to him. Did we keep walking? And I tried to wake Barney up again. He said, Barney, wake up. And he doesn't. So the man said, he asked me again. He said, is Barney his name? Then I would ask him. So then he said, don't be afraid. You don't have any reason to be afraid. We're not going to harm you. But we just want to do some tests. When the tests are over with, we'll take you and Barney back and put you in your car. And you'll be on your way back home in no time. And so I mean, he was sort of reassuring in a way, but I wasn't trusting what he said. But I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and we kept walking, and the body was still asleep, and then...
You mean he was walking in his sleep?
Yeah, he was just like sleepwalking.
These men spoke good English?
Only one spoke, the one who was on my left. And then he was more or less... He had an accent. He's sort of a foreign accent. But he was very, businesslike. So then we kept walking, and we came to a clearing. And there was this clearing, and there was, I wish it was lighter so I could get a better picture of that. There was a ramp and a door. The object was on the ground.
The object was on the ground.
Yeah. I think it was the same one I was watching in the sky. And there were trees, and there was a path, and there was this clearing. And this object, the clearing I could see just about filled up the clearing. And they're taking me up to the object. Yeah, I don't want to go on it. I don't want to. I don't know what's going to happen if I go on it. I don't want to go. And I go up the ramp, and I go inside, and there's a corridor to the left. We go up the corridor. Then there's a room, and they start to take me in the room. Some of the men come in the room with this man who speaks English and me. They stay for a minute. I don't know who they are. I guess maybe they're the crew. But they only stay for a minute. And the man who speaks English is there, and another man comes in. I haven't seen him before. I think he's a doctor. And they came in the door, and I think he's got, I don't know how I never said things that, but I hope so. Would never have nerve enough to go around kidnapping people and anyways, like he's done. But he tells me to take off my dress. And he's supposed to take off my dress, and then before I even have a chance hardly to stand up to do it, the examiner, my dress has a zipper down the back. Down the back? Yeah, it has a zipper down the back. And the examiner unzipped my dress. It goes way down on my waist. And so I slipped my dress off. As I don't have my dress or my shoes on. And there's next over away to the stool, and then there's sort of in the middle of the room is a table. Table. It's not up very high, about the same height as the desk. So I lie down on the table on my back, and he brings over this how can I describe it? They're like needles. There's a whole cluster of needles, and each needle has a wire running from it. So then they roll me over on my back. Then the examiner has a long needle in his hand, and I see the needle. And it's bigger than any needle I've ever seen. And I asked him what he's going to do with it. And he said, just a simple test to vote for me. And I asked him what. And he said he just wants to put it in my navel. It's just a simple test. And I told him, no, it will hurt. Don't do it. Don't do it. And he said, no. And he took the navel into his navel. And I'm tired, and I tell him it's hurt. And then the leader, he goes over and he puts his hand, runs his hand in front of my eyes. And he says, I'll be all right. I won't feel it. And all the pain goes away. Dad, but the pain goes away, but I'm still sore for where they put I don't know why they put that long piece in my navel. And I didn't tell him at least they could do it. But
Did they make make any sexual advances to you?
No.
Or didn't?
No. I asked the leader, I said, why did he stick the needle? Why did they stick the needle in my navel? And he said it was a pregnancy test. And I said, well, I don't know what they expected, but that was no pregnancy test here. And he didn't say any more. So, the examiner he helped me get up off the table. And it swung around. And he gave me my shoes. And I put those on and got down on the floor. And my dress was there. And I put my dress on. And I was going to zip it up, and he took hold of the zipper at the top and pulled it up. And then, I said, I can go now. I can go back to the car. And he said, Bonnie isn't ready yet. And so then I began to get worried, and I asked him why it was taking so long with Bonnie. And he said, well, they were doing a few more tests with him, but he'd be right along in a minute. And there was a cabinet there, and the doctor, the examiner, he had gone out of the room. There was just the leader and me there. And the man who did the examining, he did the testing, and he left. And so there was just the leader and me. And so I felt, I was grateful to him because he had stopped my pain. And now I wasn't afraid at all. And so I started talking with the leader. And I said to him that this had been quite an experience. It was unbelievable that no one would ever believe me, and that most people didn't even know he was alive, and that what I needed was some proof that this had really happened. So he laughed, and he said, well, what kind of proof did I want? What would I like? And I said, well, if he could give me something to take back with me, then people would believe it. And so he told me to look around, and maybe I could find something I would like to take. And I did, and there wasn't much around, but on the cabinet there was a book, a fairly big book. So I put my hand on the book and I said, could I have this? And the leader laughed, and he asked me if I thought I could read it. And I told him, no. I said, no. But I wasn't taking it to read. That this was going to be my proof, that this had happened. That this is my proof. And so he said that I could have the book if I wanted. And I picked it up, and I was delighted. I mean, this was more than I'd ever hoped for. He went over across the room to the head of the table, and he did something. He opened up. It wasn't like a girl. He sort of did something in the metal of the wall. There was an opening, and he pulled down a map. And he asked me, had I ever seen a map like this before? And I walked across the room, and I leaned against the table, and I looked at it. And it was a map it was a oblong map. And he said that the heavy lines were trade routes. And then the other lines, the solid lines were places they went occasionally. And he said that the broken lines were expeditions. So I asked him where was his home port? And he said, where are you on this map? And I listened, and I said, I don't know. So he said, well then, if you don't know where you are, there wouldn't be any point of my telling you where I am. And he put the map, the map rolled up, and he put it back in the space in the wall and closed it. And I felt very stupid because I didn't know where the Earth was on the map. And I asked him, well, could he show me? Could he open up the map again and show me where the Earth was? And he just laughed. And then I got the book. I still got the book. I'm carrying the book. I got it in my hands. It's a big book. And so I went back to the cabinet and put the book down and started to look through it again. And there was all of sudden there's noise out in the hall. And some of the other men come in, and with them is the examiner. And they're quite excited. So I asked the leader, I said, what's the matter? Did something happen to Barney? What is that? It's something to do with Barney. And the examiner has me open my mouth, and he starts checking my teeth, and they're tugging at them. And I asked him, what are they trying to do?
What were they doing at them?
They were tugging at my teeth. Yes. And the examiner said that he was very excited, and he said that he said that they couldn't figure it out. Barney's teeth came out and I didn't. And I was really laughing. And I said that Barney had dentures and I didn't, and that's why his teeth would come out. And so then they asked me what were dentures. And I said that people, as they got older, lost their teeth. They had to go to the dentist and have their teeth extracted. And they put in dentures. Or a person, sometimes, Barney had to have dentures because he had a mouth injury of some sort, and he had to have his teeth extracted. All these things you ask me, I don't know. I'm a very limited person when trying to talk with you. But there are other people in this country who are not like me, that they would be most happy to talk with them, that they could answer all his questions. And maybe if he could come back, if we could make arrangements for a meeting, maybe I could, if he gave me time enough, somehow I could find these people and I could arrange for him to meet them, and it would have to be done so there'd be no danger involved. I wouldn't want him to be exposed to any danger. That I don't know how I could do it. I don't know how I'd work it out somehow. But if he could come, I want him to come back. I want him to see when he's just looking at me. And will you come back? Can we work out something? And then his questions would all have answers, and other people could get all the things I'd like to know too. And he says, I don't know. It's not my decision to make. So I said, well, could you discuss it with the person who does have the decision to make? And he said, yes. And I said, well, if you do decide to come back, I mean, if it can be worked out, I would need time. It would take some time. I mean, I just couldn't go out on the spur of the moment and round up people to meet with you. It would have to be people that we knew would be all right and would have the backgrounds and all. And I wouldn't even know where to meet him. And he said, don't worry. If we decide to come back, we'll be able to find you all right. But I said, but I don't live around here. I don't live in this area. And he said, we'll find you. And I said, how? How will you find me? Out of millions of people. And he said, we will. We always do find those we want to. And I said, well, now what do you mean by that remark? And he just laughed. And then Bonnie's coming. They're bringing Bonnie out. I hear the men out in the corridor. And I said, Bonnie's coming. He said, yes, you can go back to car now. And I got the book. And Bonnie's coming out. And Bonnie's eyes are so shut. Good heavens. He's missing a lot. I wonder if he made him keep his eyes shut or if he can't. So, now it's time to go back to the car, and Alita said, come on, we'll walk back to the car with you. I said, all right. I said, but I wish I knew if you were going to come back. They said, well, we'll see. And we're out into the corridor. Bonnie's behind me with his eyes shut. There's a man on each side of him. And I'm all ready to go down the ramp when some of the other men, not the leader, but some of the other men are talking. I don't know what they're saying, but they're very excited. And the leader is saying, he's saying something, and they're undecided about something. And then, Jolita comes over and takes my book. And I said, oh, I'm furious. I said, you promised me I could have the book. You gave me a word I could have it. And he said, I don't. He said, but the others object. They don't want you to have it. And I said, but this is my proof. If you take the book away from me, I'll have no proof that this has happened. And he said, that's the whole point. They don't want you to know it's happened. They want you to forget all about it. And that's why I'm taking the book. I won't forget about it. You can take the book, but you never can make me forget about it. Because I'll remember it's the last thing I ever do. But I want the book. He won't give it to me. And he says, he laughs. He says, maybe you will remember. I don't know. I hope you don't. But maybe you will. But it won't do you any good if you do. because Marty won't. Marty won't remember one single thing. And not only that, if he should remember anything at all, he's going to remember it differently from you. And all you got to do is get each other so confused you won't know what's going on. If you do remember, it'd be better if you forgot it anyway. And I said, why? But you try to threaten me because you can't scare me, because I won't forget it. I'll remember it somehow. So then he's, all right, now, come on, let's go back to the car. We'll take you back to the car. And, I've been standing there on the side of the ramp talking to him. And I'm not the ramp now. And they've taken Barney ahead while we were talking. So the other men are going ahead. And he said, I had no objection to you having the book, but the others object. And they have as much right to make this decision as I do. So I said, all right, I won't be mad at you. But it is I wish I could be able to have some proof of this. Because it's the most unbelievable thing that's ever happened.
Betty, the polygraph can only determine what you believe to be so. Mm-hmm. And trying to bridge from what you believe to be so, whether it is so or not, I think probably the best thing to use is the star map. At least the star map is something that brings us into reality as those who have never had your experience would know it. In other words, there is a map that you drew prior to the time a couple of stars were discernible because they didn't have the equipment in 61 or 65 to see those stars. And subsequently, that map became validated. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that trying to bridge what you believe to be so and what is in fact so, if we address the polygraph examination to how you obtained the information with which to draw the star map, we might at least strike at some form of reality as opposed to your perception, which you may think is very real, but which may not, in fact, be real. So if we try to make the bridge with the star map, and we ask you questions along the lines of, did you obtain the information to draw that star map from a UFO, and then reverse it, did you obtain it through any other source, we can determine what you at least believe in relation to the star map. And then what we've been using basically in these areas of psychic phenomena, and with some success, is to ask you whether or not you think this whole thing is a hoax. I think quickly we can strip away, if it is a hoax, your belief that what you're saying is so when you know in fact it isn't so. So I think if we address the examination for those two areas, we may at least be able to find out if you believe that what you're saying is so. And before I invite you to take that test, if someone came up to you today, and I'm sure many people have since you've become noteworthy in this area, and said, I had an experience or I was on a UFO, what do you think of those people today? Are they telling the truth or not?
I would want a great deal more than just a person's word that the person's been on a UFO.
Well, the science is a tangible product of this whole experience. that's something that has some substantiation quite apart from anybody's arguments against all this. Yeah, so I think we could use that. Nothing disparaging, but I would be derelict as a polygraph examiner if I didn't inquire into your general medical health and as far as your mental health. Let me ask you, if you're not reluctant to say, have you ever, prior to this occurrence, had therapy or counseling or visited a psychiatrist?
No. I'm a retired social worker. I usually took other people in.
But you never needed any treatment yourself?
No.
No. Good enough for me. That's correct. You planning to lie to me about that Starman?
No.
Did you initially receive that Starman information while on boarding UFO?
Yes.
Eddie Starr first emerged under hypnosis following nightmares on her part and a unexplained deterioration in the physical condition of her husband, Barney. A medical hypnotist, the psychiatrist, was recommended. And this is what he found. We can only test whether or not she believes this is a real recollection and not something that she made up or only dreamed. Regarding the original star map information, did you obtain it from a source other than a UFO?
No.
People from New Hampshire are typically swift and direct in their answers. Do you believe your star map story is a hoax?
No.
This test is over. Remain still for 10 seconds, please. This is one of the charts, Betty, that was actually collected on television that our viewers could see. The first relevant question was, did you initially receive that star map information while on board a UFO? You, as you're nodding your head, said yes. And we see in the cardio tracing a downward movement of the blood pressure as shown by measuring blood volume. We contrast that with the question before where there was a slight upswing, and more notably here in the respiration tracing, we see a very long sustained suppression when you answered the control question and almost nothing happening when you answered the relevant question, indicating a lack of stress or what we call a lack of reaction to the relevant question. Let's go to the second question. The second question was a restatement of the first. Regarding the original star map information, did you obtain it from a source other than a UFO? Now, when you created the star map, I don't believe there were any sources that could have given you those two other stars, but the question is, what did you believe? You said, no, you didn't get it from a source other than a UFO, and there's absolutely nothing happening here in this cardio tracing, showing a lack of stress when you said no to that question. But the question before, we see that you're capable of significant cardio response because we see it here with this tremendous upswing. Here again, the respiration pattern, there's that suppression that we noted in the earlier question, nothing happening in the relevant question. Let's go to the third question, dealing with whether or not you believe that your story is a hoax. What it said, you believe your star map story is a hoax. You said no. Blood pressure's going down. Galvanic skin response shows 6 chart divisions, and we contrast that with the question before, where you had many more chart divisions in the galvanometer, a significant baseline arousal in the respiration tracing. Putting it all together, Betty, you believe what you're telling us, and I wouldn't want to alienate an alien and say it isn't so. All I can tell you is you believe what you're saying.
I do.
We now have an astronomer who backs you up. I guess a whole bunch of them. You can't very well describe stars that haven't been discovered without some kind of help. We have a scientist who's a doctor who's born to hypnosis and the techniques that he believes were totally legitimate. Came out with this story, showing at least it was in your mind. It was very real. The fire that happened. We have the time gap. The 2 hours have disappeared from your lifetime until he restored them. And now we have a paragraph which says, you're much more disturbed by general character questions than you are questions about the authenticity of your story. We can't. Even with Steven Spielberg's help, we can't produce a spacecraft, but maybe someday somebody will, and maybe they'll be little and gray. Thank you very much for this.
Betty Hill died on October 17, 2004 at the age of 85. Her death occurred many years after the reported UFO abduction incident and the subsequent investigations, including the hypnosis sessions conducted by Dr. Benjamin Simon. Betty Hill continued to be active in UFO research and investigations throughout her life, contributing to the ongoing interest in her and Barney's story. Her dedication to the subject and her willingness to share their experiences made her a prominent figure in the field of UFOlogy. Betty Hill's passing marked the end of an era in the study of UFOs, but their legacy and the case of the Hill abduction continue to be of interest to researchers and enthusiasts alike.